Delighting our customers is something that we all strive to do. After all, a delighted customer is the one who's going to give you more business as well as refer you to other prospective clients. Actually, wowing our customers' clients is one of the fun parts of the work that we do at Intertype. To achieve the wow factor, we've developed a unique 3-stage process. And the whole idea here is that we can convert the expense of creating wow and make it into a money-making investment. The first stage, we look at generating ideas, we look at reverse engineering a budget and developing a high-level specification. When we move into the calibrate phase, that's when we align the specification to your brand as well as your marketing strategy, and we ultimately develop the artwork, and we do it in such a way that it will work in the production process. And the final stage, captivate, is where we go into production mode and we develop the products, the print, the wow kits, whatever you like. We do it in such a way that it'll blow your customers' minds. Customer kits is just one of the tools you can use to blow your customers' minds. I'm now going to run through a number of examples of customer kits that are used in a variety of situations. The first one we have here is by Pam Hendrickson, who, after working with Tony Robbins for 17 years managing his content and creating packages for him, she's branched out on her own where she's out teaching people how to create their own content and then monetize it. And this is one of her kits. It's a lovely looking box on the outside. Then when we move to the inside, we can see that the first thing we look at not only is a reinforcing of a branding, but also what's called a stick letter. Underneath the stick letter, there's a whole raft of materials. There's several workbooks, some more instructions, and we even had CDs and DVDs inserted in here. Now, this was done a few years ago when CDs and DVDs were popular. But the point there is she used those as a means of selling this as a lifetime membership. By putting the CDs and DVDs in here, she now no longer needed to make sure her membership site was going to be up and running forever and ever, which again was a practical impossibility. So that's the way why she did it that way. The next one we get onto is Taki Moore's black belt program. It's hard to see in this particular image, but there is a box with his brand embossed on the front cover of it, or the top of it. On the inside, again, we see there's a stick letter, but he had other materials. His white belt, those people who know the program will know what the significance of the white belt is. And of course, when we deconstruct it a little bit further, you can see that it's full of workbooks, a book that he had actually authored, as well as his stick letter and some other little bits and pieces. This one is we did this one for PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. They run a CFO program, and this was a very subtle branding, but it was done that they pass over to their CFOs that join them on their workshops and masterminds. And it was just another way of reinforcing the brand of the group, but also giving them an opportunity to collate and contain all of their content. So it's a very simple customer kit, but very powerful still. Now this one was done by another friend of mine, the Top Gun consulting program. Ed Rush was an ex-fighter pilot, and he's now teaching people how to become coaches and consultants. And this is his kit. He actually works closely with Mike Koenigs and Pam Hendrickson, and you'll see some similarities here. Of course, you open the box and there's the stick letter. And with the contents again, CDs, DVDs, workbooks, as well as a few other promotional items. Now, welcome kits or customer kits aren't the only used for consultants and coaches and for those sorts of applications. This is where we've used one for property developers. And so 505 St Kilda Road was a luxury apartment building built here in Melbourne. And within the box, there was a binder which had all of the user manuals for the apartments. And in the side box, they had materials. There was promotional items, a bottle of wine. There was key fobs, etc., in there. So it's just a way of containing them and blowing away their customers' minds. Marketing roadmap. This one was also another one that's got Pam Hendrickson's touch to it. When you open this box up again, the stick letter, there's some other promotional materials. There's a little thank you card and the usual workbooks, some CDs and DVDs were in there. But underneath it, also, there was the CD case, but there was also USB sticks. So it's another little tool that you can add to these kits. They don't need to be just printed items and books. Here's one that was done for Diedrich Gilderman. He runs mastermind groups and consults at a high level with veterinary surgeons and veterinary practices. And this is all about for a mastermind group that he put together. And of course, it has the binder where all of the workshop materials and everything are contained in there. There was a side panel where he had a couple of books. One that I think they were ones that he had authored. We also had a promotional pen and 3 USB sticks in there as well, which contained course material. This is one that we did for APEC, the APEC conference here in Melbourne. It goes back a few years, but it was for the delegates at the APEC conference, and it was for something that they could take away. So each of the speakers at the conference had their content summarised and placed into the binder, and they could take that away and refer to it at a later date. Now, when it comes to these customer kits or wow kits, we sometimes call them, you don't need to have the big flashy boxes and what have you. We've created a suite of low cost for the smaller value projects. And these are A5 size boxes. And the whole idea here is that you can put things like notebooks in there, journals. In this case, there's a book that's been authored, as well as a journal, promotional pens, some ID cards, USB sticks, etc. can fit in there. So it's a nice economical way of being able to do these wow kits. And of course, if your program involves some sort of certification process where people go through a graduation activity, one of the things that are starting to become more popular again is actually certificates, something that they can take away and frame, but actually presenting them in a certificate tube. And it just gives that extra bit of wow factor. They've invested a lot in your program and now they're ready to move forward. So I hope this has given you some ideas, some options, and get the creative thought processes going. At the end of the day, every organisation, every business is unique. How we pull these kits together will vary from company to company, application to application. But because we've done so many of them now, we've got a very good feel of what works and how we can produce them so that we can produce them within a nice tight budget, but also in very tight time frames.